Hello people, today I have with us the hand scale, my favorite hand scale frame arms girl Baselard animation version. This one is a very cute, very tiny little model. It is a collaboration between Frame Arms Girl and Megami Device in the normal form. I think this one is just back to Frame Arms Girl, but they did put that typifier on there because the animation version did end up as a collaboration. Still, this one very tiny. As you can see, here is my hand. Here she is in my hand. She is a micro version of Baselard. I do have the original animation version here. I didn't actually get the Frame Arms Girl version of the original, so I have the Megami Device version, but just showing you how big the difference is in just a second here. If this wants to focus, for some reason it doesn't. Let's see, going on here, there we go. So this little tiny thing is, oh my god, you guys should see how tiny it is. So I'm going to stand her up right here with some trepidation because she doesn't balance very well on my wonky concrete pad here. So I'm going to zoom back out. There we go. And here is the Megami Device version, which is already a smaller version of the Frame Arms Girl's version of it. So you could tell that she is just a very, very small, very tiny little girl. She went together really fast. There's a lot less pieces than are in the Megami Device version. Of course, they are going to have some differences there in detail, and I will cover those in just a sec. But I wanted to show you what those two look like together, and it is quite a funny scene to see them both like this. So maintaining this zoomed out position, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the articulation that we get out of this thing. Surprisingly, there is a lot. You have a head on a ball joint, and the ball joint is rather freeing for its size. You can see she can rock it back and forth and move forward quite a bit. Her hair does get in the way in the back and the front. They are actually articulated as well. They sit in here on little pegs, and they can move front and back. Not as much as the Megami Device version, but it still does do something. She loses the articulation in her antenna, her rabbit ears here, but so much for that little thing. It's pretty cool. Moving on to the arms, they are on pegs and not ball joints, so they do rotate inside there, but they don't have that ball joint, just a little bit slightly looser feel. They do have the articulation point that goes all the way up like so, and all the way down like so. All the way down like so. As you saw there, this does articulate around. I lost her little armlet here, but that doesn't add anything to it. It can rotate around her arm peg. But as you see here, you can rotate that 360 degrees at her upper elbow. And then her elbow actually only has 1 point of articulation, but it does go quite a bit further beyond 180 degrees. Her wrist is just a peg that just plugs right in. That is pretty common for these hand scale girls. It is a little bit more stable than what you get out of your hexagear governors. Inside here, there are ball joints that you would normally see in one of these hand scale girls. Actually, let's go back to up here at the chest. There's a ball joint that goes up into the top. And as you can see, you get a little bit of articulation there. So she can do a slight crunch and then a slight motion back so that she can look upward. More of the articulation you're going to get is out of her legs. Her hips are ball joints, and they simply plug into the top. There is a slight motion inside, but not very much. Once everything is put into place, you're not going to get a lot out of it. It's only going to move maybe 2 millimeters, but that is enough to have a kind of a sit down. Okay, here we go. Here is the ball joint. Finally got one of those attached. It is a flat ball joint, but it does the same work as a normal one. So you go ahead and put that thigh back on that just fits right on over it, like so. Moving on from here, These are pegged into a long leg section, and there is a reason for that I will show later. But as you can see here, you can rotate that upper section all the way around. 2 points of articulation in the knee. And that gets you quite a lot range of motion there. More so than the 30-minute Sisters girls. Even though it's so small. 1 point of articulation in the very bottom here, and that is just a simplification of the system that they normally use, which is the 2 pegs that are put together. But just with the one, you can move her foot all the way forward or all the way back like so. So before I move on to size comparison, which I am eager to get to, let me show you some of the things that she comes with. They do include a full sprue of hands, so you get a closed hand, an open hand without spread fingers. These were the hands that she's using, the open hands with open fingers, and some weapon holding hands. So pretty typical fare, but only 4 different varieties. You do get another facial expression, which in this case is looking slightly concerned and to her right. You also get 2 blank face plates, which you can use with these here really nice decals. So yes, there are plenty of options for different looks if you wanted to go with those. Alright, so first off, in my size comparison here, you can see that a regular high-grade Gundam kind of dwarfs her. He's even standing back further. If you put him right next to her, you could tell. She only comes right up to her hand. For some reason, I have an awkward pose here with my Alto, but 30-minute missions kits, which are normally quite small, still make her look even tinier. Here is Frame Arms Jinrai, quite a lot taller than she is. And Architect standing beside her, maybe pointing down at her. There is another Megami device beside her. I wanted to show just in case you guys wanted to see. Baselard is one of the smaller ones, but like I said, she is very, very tiny compared to these two. Here is something more her scale. This is a 1/24 scale hexagear governor, and this is Nero. You see right beside her, they are very, very close in height. Obviously, she has a different frame than he does, so he's quite a bit taller even at that small scale, but that build of his is obviously different than she. And then, of course, last but not least, we have our big daddy in my size comparison here, the Alex Gundam. She only comes below his knee, which is pretty short. So she really is one of the smallest kits I have. Alright, and I just wanted to show off that even with the hand scale girls that I also have, Architect and Innocentia here, Baselard is very, very tiny. But that isn't all there is to her. So let me go ahead and get her in her exosuit, and we will see how that looks afterwards. Alright, and this is what she looks like with her exosuit on, and that is with those big guns attached, the little arms here, and the backpack unit. So there is quite a lot to it. There are some more articulation points now that she's put all together here. And she does have different legs, which didn't gain any articulation. In fact, they are basically the same as the previous, but I will go over that in just a little bit. Now, as you see here, we have the guns, and these do separate by a peg just on here, and then each one of these can be pulled off to become a little laser rifle. See if I can pull that off. It went together okay, but there you go. So each one of those is usable by the girl or by a hexagear governor or whatever you have nearby. So there's that, our point of articulation. These actually move up and down, just like this. These also are little sub-arms here, so you can rotate them out, move them up and down on their own elbow here. And then at the end, we also have this here. This is also replaceable with a hand, which I put away. So we have a little hand for that one right here, as you see, little robotic hands. And those work, you know, just like any other hand would. You just plug it right into the end. And then these are actually mounted on a ball joint. So you see, you can actually maneuver them however you'd like there. Those on that arm are mounted to a joint here, which you can move in and out like this. And that's just a simple joint. Of course, there isn't any up and down to that. Still quite nice that you have that option to articulate there. Moving down to the bottom, we have these little sub packs here. Those are like thrusters or whatever you'd like to cause them to be. They also have I think it's a 2mm hole, and we have the 2mm to 3mm port. So if you wanted to put anything on there, you could. Those are articulated on a peg, but there's no real reason to maneuver them unless it is in the way of her leg there. Now on her leg, like I said, there isn't any new articulation point. It goes into the same joint as it would on the normal leg. And then at the bottom, we have the foot just moving up and down like they did before. So it looks very nice. And that look is definitely tempered by the lack of paint, but you know, that's something that you're going to have to add to it in and of itself. Just because it's a small unit, the color separation isn't as good as it is on the large unit. But just like the bigger unit, I didn't bring out her whole setup. I just wanted to show you that the legs did mount slightly differently, but the overall effect is the same. So these actually peg into the bottom of her foot here, or where her like a foot would be, but they don't mount to her knee like they do on the small one. Still, the effect is almost the same. So you see her little antenna up at the top are the same as the ones on her, so she's got that bunny look as well. This one didn't come with a faceplate that didn't have those bunny ears, so she's the one that has the options. But with a really small unit like this, I couldn't expect much more. I really love how much detail they did put into her and how much effort they made so that when you do paint this, there's not too much difficulty in covering it up. So I mean, you would change parts of these to yellow. Some of these would be gray or yellow too. So it's not an overly difficult job to get all the colors that you would need on this one. There's thrusters and stuff like that that are going to need to change colors, but I think this is a really well done transition to this tiny form. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and say that is it for the review. I appreciate you guys spending the time with me watching this. I hope you will come back for more. I will see you guys next time, or you'll see me, but more than likely you'll see my stuff. Bye-bye.